Hi everybody, my name is Mrs. Russell, and tonight we're going to do another informational writing workshop. This is going to be our first week 2 lesson. It's going to be about revising for specific word choice in our informational writing pieces. So let's get started. Our learning target for the day is I can revise my informational writing piece by replacing general language with domain-specific language. So we'll talk about what that means. But if you guys remember, last week we talked a lot about what for narrative writing, we talked about dead words and trying to stay away from words that are used over and over and over again. And trying to use really specific words that help paint a picture in the reader's mind. Informational writing, it's going to be the same type of concept, but it's going to be a little different. So let's look at some differences that there's going to be. The purpose of the writing is different, so the purpose of our word choice is going to also be different. This time we're looking to inform instead of entertain. So instead of using words that are used to keep the reader's mind engaged, we're still going to do that, but we're going to use words that best describe what we're trying to help the reader understand about our topic. So yeah, exactly that. Our words should be really precise. If we have a general word that we can replace with a word that's more specific, that will really help our informational writing. Our words should also be content specific. And we'll talk about what that means in 1 second. And then also we want to have words that are specific, but are not too wordy. We don't want to use so many examples that our readers are starting to get lost in all of the words. We want to use words that help our readers understand our topic. So, what is domain-specific language? Well, the word domain is a specified sphere of activity or knowledge. So it's kind of like the topic that we're writing about. That's our domain. So if you chose to write about different breeds of dogs, that's your domain. Specific means precise and clear. So when we put those two together and we talk about language and word choice, if we go back to the dog example, if I'm going to inform you about different dog breeds, I want to use some words that are very specific and clear about dogs, because that's my topic. So domain-specific language means words that are used when talking about the topic that provide more information than common words do. So than words that we use a lot in our normal conversations. We want to vary it a little bit. So we're going to take a look at an example. It is about one passenger's first flight during the middle of COVID-19 and what that was like for him. I want you guys to look for any words that you think that the author uses to give us extra information as the reader. All right, so here's what it looks like. If you see, it's a pretty interesting way to set up an informational article. It was like slides to go through, and he had a little paragraph on each page. It was very interesting. It's definitely a cool way to introduce an informational writing piece, and hopefully we can try that out with Adobe Spark. But the title is How the Coronavirus Has Changed Air Travel, A Visual Diary of a Flight by Morris Moreno. He wrote this in July. So here's one of the slides. It says, at my point of departure, Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, the check-in kiosks were continually cleaned. So, what words does the author use that help us think about his domain? So his domain is either going to be about flying or about COVID-19. So the specific words that he chose, I found 3. The first one is departure. That is pretty specific, and it relates to planes a lot of the time when we think about it. You're thinking about departure when your plane is leaving. Another specific word that they use is Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. The author later talks about how he wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that it was only his experience, and this is part of his experience. And the last one is check-in kiosks. Instead of saying everything was cleaned all the time, he specifically has a picture that says check-in kiosks, which is what this woman is cleaning, are continually cleaned, which is perfect, and it's a great example. Here's another page. On this one, I found 2 phrases and words that were really important that were domain specific. The first one that I found was passengers. Passengers are going to talk about people who are on a form of transportation usually, and so that's specific to people riding on an airplane with him. So passengers was one, and the other one I found was social distancing decals. So those are those little circles that they place on the ground that tell you how far away you need to be. That is specific to COVID-19. And instead of saying the decals on the ground, he said social distancing in front of it to really help us understand what the circles are for and kind of what's happening in his piece. All right, here's the last one. Another one that was from his article was that passengers are required to wear masks throughout the flight. From what I saw, everyone was compliant. Now, there's a word in there that's been talked about a lot when we're talking about COVID-19, and the word that I found was compliant. It's specific to talking about COVID-19. You can use it for other things, but instead of just saying everyone did what they were told, he used compliant because it's precise, it's specific, and it's been talked about a lot with the domain of COVID-19. All right, how you guys doing? Let's take a look at some more examples. Okay, so just to remind us, domain-specific vocabulary is important in informational writing. It gives a more precise description of our topic. Now we're going to look at these words below, and we're going to try to figure out how we can replace these words with some more specific words. So a general sentence says, President John F. Kennedy was murdered. Now when I think about this example, I am trying to remember if there's a good word that means murdered, but someone who's really important, like a president. Can you guys think of what that could be? All right, let's take a look. What about the word assassinated? This word is used to describe, it's very precise to talk about when someone who's very important, like a president, is killed. And so that is a good way to say a more domain-specific word, and you only have to change one word. All right, let's take a look at another example. Sea sponges, crabs, shrimp, and clownfish are all creatures that live in a coral reef community. Now that's true and that's a great sentence, but can we make creatures and community stronger words that are more specific to what we're talking about? Let's see, what could we replace them with? What about organisms and ecosystem? The word organisms is a better qualifier. It gives us more specific information about the creatures. They're not like bears walking around. They're not mammals. They're really tiny organisms. They're smaller. Another important one is ecosystem. This is not a community of people that live in a neighborhood. This is an ecosystem where they all depend on each other for different things. All right. So I want you guys to remember you can use this skill whenever in any type of writing, but it's really important for informational writing. Domain-specific language helps your reader understand more about your topic, and that's the goal of an informational writing piece. So this tool is going to help us become better writers overall, but especially with our informational pieces when we do our revisions. All right, now it's going to be your turn. I want you to take a look at your writing that you did last week for your informational piece. I want you to read through it really well and try to find at least 3 words or phrases that you can make more domain specific. And you can do that by making sure that your words are precise, or to see if you can relate the word more to your topic than it is. It might be general, and it might be a great sentence, but can we take that general word and relate it to our topic even more? That's what's going to help our reader understand the very best what we're talking about. And then you're going to revise it. All right, so once you guys have done that, well, that's not what I meant. I'm going to show you a paper that I made that's going to help you do that. So hopefully this is going to be able to be added to the Google, the post that's going to be with this screencast. And it has this example up here in case you want to look back at it. And then down here it says your turn. So you're going to find those 3 examples, and you can write the sentence here. And you're going to try to come up with a way to make them more domain specific. So can you make it more precise? Can you make it relate to the topic? And can you revise those things in your essay? So when you do that, you're going to fill up this chart. And that is it for us today. So let's just return to our learning target and see if we hit it. So after this, let's see. Can we revise our informational writing piece by replacing general language, so words we use all the time, with more domain-specific language that's really important vocabulary for talking about our topic? All right. It was great working with you guys. Good luck on your revisions. You guys are doing great so far. And we're excited to see what you have for us. So I hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you later.